How you doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and David Stearns is officially underway making moves this offseason. As you guys can see beside me, the Mets have officially signed right-handed pitcher Chris Devenski, and we're going to break down to an absolute T why was David Stearns so quick to chomp at the bit here to land the veteran right-hander. What is so special about him? Why does he look like he's going to mow it oh so well in this Mets pitching lab beginning in spring training, in which he not only has an invite, but he's expected to potentially crack this Mets bullpen straight out of camp. And no, that is not a far-stretched thing to say whatsoever, because we have seen David Stearns show his brilliance early and getting out of the best on relievers, whether they're on minor league contracts, whether they're on a waiver pickup, or whether they are on a league minimum deal. We know that when it comes to the bullpen, this is not going to be a David Stearns-ran Mets that's going out and throwing out big dollars at every guy out there. No, he's going to be creative, and we have seen the success it's had, and that's why I'm so excited to get into everything you guys need to know about the veteran right-hander here, what he brings to the Mets, why the Mets chomped at the bit, as I mentioned, to go after him as early as they did in this year's offseason, and what this potentially means for the Mets' future offseason moves on the bullpen front specifically. That and more is what we're going to break down in today's video. But before I get into anything else, everybody, make sure to smash a like and subscribe button on your way in. Let me see your initial reactions to the first official move this offseason being, of course, a reliever here in Chris Devenski. And before we break down everything else, folks, let's break down our amazing sponsor that you all know very well at BetUS, America's #1 sportsbook. Check them out today, folks, for all your sports betting needs. NFL, MLB, NBA, you name it. Head over to betus.com.pa and use Wardy's promo code YouTube150. That way you too get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your second and your third, up to $2,000 for all your sports betting needs. And guys, I'm hammering a big two-leg parlay tonight. Feel free to tail should you guys have interest. Apologies, everybody. Little tickle in the throat, but we're right back in here. I'm hammering the New York Yankees in Game 3 of the World Series to take Game 1 there in the Bronx. They're back in New York for the series. And for football, I'm going with my Pittsburgh Steelers against a lot of your New York football Giants. I apologize to all my Mets and Giants fans. It's nothing personal. Same way I told you guys to hammer the Steelers money line a week ago as they took care of business against the Jets. No, a lot of you guys weren't happy about that either. Again, we have to put the bias aside, and we need to be rational about this. And my rationality is telling me Yankees and Steelers money line outright. I'm hammering that, folks, and that's going to be 20 to win 27. So we're looking at basically the potential to win $50 here outright on that 20-leg parlay. Good luck to you all to try to hammer that two-leg, and make sure you guys bet responsibly with our amazing friends here at BetUS. But now let's hop back into this one, everybody, and let's break down more on the latest pickup here for the Amazons here with Chris Devenski, because like many of you, I was not expecting to see a move this early, especially given the fact that the World Series is far from over. I know the Dodgers are up 2-0, but who knows what's going to happen the next couple days starting tonight, right? But what we do know is that even though you can't officially sign guys to major league contracts, you can sign them to minor league contracts before the World Series has officially concluded. So David Stearns was like, absolutely sign me up, and they have signed the veteran right-hander here who has a career 3.98 ERA and pitched in 19 games out of the bullpen this past year for the Rays and posted a 6.75 ERA. So I know you're saying to Wardy, there's nothing to be excited about. This is a no-name reliever. He's not going to impact the Mets. Listen, every single time that we have had that kind of reaction, a lot of the times that hasn't been the case. And this is just one of many examples of David Stearns trying to get the best out of his, what is at times limited options, or guys just with a really interesting arm slot, a very exciting arsenal that we see that could be tapped in when worked with the proper pitching lab. The Mets have proven how superior their pitching lab has become in a short period of time in Port St. Lucie, with those guys all working out brilliantly in spring training heading into the beginning of the minor league season. At home there at Citi Field with Germany Hefner and everything that they're doing with their analytics group, they're doing a fantastic job. And as you guys can see with my amazing friend Isaac Groffman, who's a pitching contributor on our platform, he has this to say on Chris Devenski. He has struggled since 2017, mind you, after winning the World Series with the Astros in 2017, being the Game 2 winning pitcher there for Houston. He had Tommy John surgery in the 2020 shortened year, and that really derailed him and his MLB career for the most part since then, where he hasn't been able to put up consistent numbers. However, as it's highlighted here by Isaac, the changeup does top out to look like it's certainly a plus pitch, and there's excitement there with not only the fastball, but especially the cutter and the sweeper that he is working on. And as Anthony DeComo initially broke it himself that we saw earlier today, that I want to show you guys right here, right now, there are encouraging things here about Devenski and what he can bring here from the Mets and this bullpen right away. Again, it might not be necessarily the sexiest right away. It may not necessarily even be anything more than a low leverage impact should he be impacting the Mets from the jump. But what you will be getting here is certainly an arm that can impact the Mets, hopefully for the better, as soon as this upcoming season. And a couple things that you guys can see here from Devenski and his arsenal. Again, he doesn't have anything overwhelming when it comes to velocity. He's more of a soft tosser that we see there, a right-hander that's going to be throwing, topping out, averaging 93 to 95 on the gun. But there's a lot of other things that you're getting here with this sweeper that, again, is sitting right around 77 to 80 miles per hour. The changeup, which looks very good, and you see the swing and miss of the potential it has here that we saw this past season with the Rays, sitting around, 80, 84 there in that range, a solid amount of RPMs in the 17 to 1800 range. So you're looking for more of the off-speed and breaking pitches to have success with more of a soft-tossing right-hander like one here and Mr. Chris Devenski. And one thing that I saw brilliantly by David Stearns last offseason, heading into his first year as Popo, when making offseason moves and offseason acquisitions, when adding a lot of reliever options on either minor league contracts or they're on two-way deals, whatever it might be, he hammered guys that had a lot of horizontal movement with their sliders, had supreme changeups, or superior changeups at least, and was about fine-tuning their location on their forcing fastball because, say, it's flat and they're getting absolute meatballs or throwing right down the pipe that's taking 450 feet, dead center, whatever it's going to be. I understand that there's a lot of relievers in baseball that can be fickle, but what David Stearns does so well is to get the best out of those current options available to him and really have the outside-the-box thinking while also having now a checkbook headlined by Steve Cohen where he can spend pretty much as he wants where it makes sense for the Mets both in 2025 and beyond. So you're a kid in a candy shop if you're David Stearns, but you got to make sure that you avoid what so many other teams didn't avoid the past couple off seasons, and that was spending absolute bags on relievers that had breakout years and then absolutely went back to reality the next season. How many relievers have we seen in Major League Baseball be nothing short of absolute roller coasters? That is the absolute case here, even with someone like Chris Devenski, who hasn't provided too much at the MLB level in a couple years, but not to say that he can't have that untapped potential again. I trust David Stearns and his brilliance in these decisions, especially a guy that he knows very well, as Devenski and David Stearns go back to David Stearns' time as the assistant GM for the Houston Astros from 2012 to 2015. So that's where the initial familiarity comes into play. Then you think about, okay, this is a guy that's throwing us an absolute mix of a bag. You're looking at the changeup that he throws roughly 50% of the time, at least, that we saw there with the Tampa Bay Rays, and that is something to highlight as well. The fact that this is a reliever coming from the Rays organization, we saw that plenty there with the Mets and not only Danny Young, but we saw it there with Phil Maton. We've seen it with many, even a couple years ago in Brooks Raley. They like when the Rays certainly have their hands on a pitcher as long as we see some success. And for the Rays, they didn't get too much out of him this past season, but you're looking at an average velocity on the changeup right there, 86 when he's sitting 82, 85, 82, 83, 84, 85, and then topping out 86 in that range. Forcing fastball, he's going to be right around low to mid 90s, 93 to 95. You're going to see there also on the cutter 85 to 89, and you're also going to look at the sweeper there 77 to 82, and that is his 4 to 5 pitch mix. I'm really curious to see what the Mets would do differently with someone in Devenski here this season. How much are they going to hammer the changeup usage, or are they going to kind of go in a route that they did with Reed Garrett, where Reed Garrett heavily favored his forcing fastball? Then as soon as David Stearns comes in and everybody, we're like, let's change that. We're going to have you hammer your sinker instead. We're going to have you hammer the splitty. We're going to have you hammer the sweeper. And we're going to go with that kind of mix versus what you're doing with your heavy forcing fastball, because when we think of flat forcing fastballs, guys that don't have a lot of velocity, where it's going to be a meatball, you think of guys like Phil Maton, the former Tampa Bay Ray. So if you're not going to have pinpoint accuracy with your velocity, and if you're not going to have crazy late movement, then you need to make sure that you have superior off-speed and breaking pitches. And that's what the Mets hope to get here in Chris Devenski. So that's exactly why I'm excited to see him now impacting this Mets bullpen right away. It's definitely going to be curious to see how many arms the Mets plan to add for their bullpen this offseason alone, but I assure you, for them to go out of their way to sign this one singular pitcher right away on a minor league contract tells me all I need to know. David Stearns and this Mets pitching lab, their front office or analytics group, has had their eye on him for probably a decent portion of the year, and they would not have chomped at the bit to make this move if it was anything otherwise. So get excited, Mets fans. This might be a no-name of a reliever to many right now, but for all we know, this could be one impacting the Mets greatly, just like he impacted the Astros greatly, going all the way back to their World Series run in 2017. signing. Times have changed, but this guy's still in the bigs for a reason, so I'm excited to see what potential he could bring in the Mets, if at all. But bear in mind that this is not the first move that we've seen David Stearns do with these more minor league pickups where you don't know exactly what you're getting, because as noted here from Anthony Como, you hear famously how Danny Young was certainly a big pickup this past year on a minor league contract that gave the Mets some quality innings and quality outings. When looking at your current options, very little lefty options is certainly nothing that was good with Jake Diekman, which is what led to Danny Young and Alex Young getting the opportunities they had this season. Rest assured, David Stearns will be adding plenty of this Mets bullpen. It's not just one of those philosophies where you're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. It's a lot more than that. In this circumstance, I really believe that the Mets have their eye on Chris for a reason, and I am just more curious than ever to see what his arsenal is going to look like in early spring training, along with all the other relievers that he's going to be competing with to try to land in this Mets bullpen. You know, this is a guy that ended this past season with a 2.35 ERA across 23 appearances there in Seattle's AAA for their organization. So the guy had a lot of minor league success this past season. Similarly to Reed Garrett, when the Mets acquired him a year and a half ago when Billy Epper was a GM, he was dominating the minor leagues for the Baltimore Orioles. The Mets pick him up. They didn't utilize him much towards the end of that season. 2024, Reed Garrett was with some massive outs to the Mets, even in postseason play. So all I'm going to say is don't write him off just yet, Mets fans. We're going to see what David Stearns is going to do this offseason with a lot more bullpen moves to come, but don't expect big overspending pays that we saw with guys in Hector Neris this past offseason, even to an extent there in Ryan Stanek, Phil Maton, even with the Tampa Bay Rays. They quickly proved why you should not be going out your way to do that for reliever options, knowing how fickle they are. So Mets fans, let me know all your thoughts on Chris Devenski. Do you like this signing? Do you not like the signing? How large or little of an impact do you expect him to have in this Mets bullpen? Drop all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, no matter what, as always, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.